Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a world that, well, it often reveals its deepest truths through challenge, doesn't it? And quiet introspection. We're talking about the sprawling, mythic landscapes of modern action RPGs. These are games that, despite all their different settings, they share this kind of common language, struggle, legacy, and finding strength in, well, despair sometimes.
That's right.
So our mission today really is to uncover that hidden language, to see what it truly says about maybe ourselves.
It's a fascinating goal.
We're talking about, an incredible group of titles here, games that have just captivated millions and quietly really reshaped gaming and storytelling.
Absolutely. The big ones, of course.
We'll explore the foundations, Dark Souls and Demon Souls, the gothic horror of Bloodborne, Sekiro's precision.
The sheer scale of Elden Ring.
Exactly. But our deep dive goes further, right? We're looking at Ghost of Tsushima's epic beauty, the dark fairy tale vibe of Lies of P.
Lords of the Fallen, Nioh 1 and 2, Wolong.
Yeah, that fast-paced action, even looking ahead to Black Myth, Wukong.
And then the others, Remnant 1 and 2, The Surge.
Sci-fi grit, right. And Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West. Those incredible post-apocalyptic words.
That's a huge list.
It is, yeah, it's expansive. But the real question, the core of this deep dive is, what actually unites these incredibly diverse games? They come from different cultures, different mythologies, totally different narratives.
Yet there's something there.
Across their unique worlds and their kind of shared struggles. What's the common thread?
It's a really compelling question. And what's striking, I think, is that while they might seem so different on the surface, they really resonate with this deep underlying philosophy. And for this deep dive, our guide, really, our insights come from some brilliant observations by Oliver Werner Neidinger.
Okay.
Specifically from his reflections, Ash, Steel, and Stars, modern action RPG legends, and also Soulsborne. A reflection on struggle, silence, and the stories we carve in Ash.
Right, I've seen those.
And Neidinger suggests these games are, well, they're much more than just entertainment or technical showcases. He actually argues they are, and this is a great phrase, modern fables about humanity's hunger, its mistakes, and its fragile hope.
Modern fables. I like that.
Yeah. So we're going to dig into some really quite haunting questions that Neidinger frames.
Okay, like what?
Well, he asks things like, what happens when power just corrupts the world completely? Beyond recognition, leaving nothing but ruin.
Yeah.
And how does legacy, the weight of history, the burdens we inherit, how does that shape us? And can we ever actually break free from these cycles of destruction?
Big questions.
Huge. And what does it really mean to choose? To fall, maybe spectacularly, and then somehow, against all odds, rise again.
Yep.
Especially in a world that seems like it's already given up.
Right.
And ultimately, maybe the biggest one. When the world itself breaks, what kind of hero, or maybe what kind of monster do we become?
Wow, okay.
So yeah, prepare yourself. As Neidinger says, let's walk these worlds together. Let's search the ash for meaning, the genesis of ruined worlds shaped by catastrophe.
All right, so to really get the DNA of these broken worlds, we have to go back, back to a quieter start, almost unassuming.
Demon Souls.
Exactly. Demon Souls 2009. Nobody really saw it coming, did they? That it would become this foundational text.
Not at all. It was kind of niche.
It was a game that dared to speak through, well, difficulty, through silence, and maybe most importantly, through failure.
Yeah, the dying.
Dying in Demon Souls wasn't just, game over. It was a teacher.
Right. It taught you things.
Yeah.
Enemy tells, traps.
Your own timing. It forced you to adapt, observe, understand. It wasn't just punishing you, it was instructing you.
A different kind of learning curve.
Totally. And it presented this world just steeped in fog, ruin, quiet despair.
That atmosphere was incredible.
You could die 1,000 times, feel every defeat, and still feel like you were barely scratching the surface of its secrets.
But that struggle.
Yeah, in that constant struggle, that journey through endless death, players found something. Something they didn't even realize they were missing, maybe.
A real challenge. One that respected your effort.
Exactly. Your ability to learn, your willingness to just endure. The world didn't hold your hand.
No tutorials every 5 minutes.
No endless cutscenes explaining everything. It demanded you uncover its meaning through your actions, your patience.
And loss. Lots of loss.
Profound loss, yeah. It was this unique spark, wasn't it? A quiet little revelation.
And from that spark
came a flame, a raging flame with dark souls.
And just 2 years later, right, 2011, Dark Souls didn't just follow it, like exploded that spark.
Yeah.
It crystallized the whole genre's core ideas. It gave us that sweeping story of the Age of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And, more importantly, that chilling feeling of its inevitable fading.
That sense of entropy.
Exactly. It wasn't just a fantasy backdrop. It was this deep thought piece on decay. The game just masterfully conveyed this feeling of a world that was ancient, tired, deeply wounded.
Where even the gods were scared.
Yeah, where gods were afraid of death, clinging desperately to this dying era. Their grandeur was just hollow, an echo.
Wow.
And Dark Souls really codified this core principle that defines the whole genre now. Perseverance is the story.
Perseverance is story. Explain that a bit.
Well, what does it mean when the act of just trying again becomes the narrative itself?
Yeah.
It shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from some pre-written hero's journey.
Right, like a script you follow.
To your personal odyssey.
Yeah.
Your resilience, your journey, your repeated attempts, the lessons you learn from every single defeat that becomes the story.
So the gameplay loop is the narrative.
Precisely. The game didn't need long cutscenes or tons of exposition. It baked the lore right into the experience of overcoming the challenges.
Like beating that boss after the 10th try.
Exactly. Facing that boss, learning its patterns, adjusting, failing, finally succeeding after hours. That crucible doesn't just make a stronger player. It makes a stronger story.
Your story.
Your story of defiance. In a world that basically wants you to give up.
Right.
And from that foundation, the genre grew beyond just, stamina bars and parry timing.
It became a feeling.
Yes. It evolved to embody this distinct feeling, that melancholy, that sense of crumbling history, and that constant demand for your resolve. That feeling became the real signature.
Okay, so if we look beyond just From Software's early games, a clear pattern starts showing up.
Catastrophe.
Every single game in this action RPG genre pretty much begins after a catastrophe. It's not just a plot point. It's like your starting condition. You're dropped into a world already reeling.
Right from the get-go.
Think about it. Demon's Souls, boom, you're in Boletaria, being eaten by this creepy fog that wants souls. Nothing left but echoes and despair.
A kingdom already lost.
Dark Souls, you're immersed in this age of fire that's clearly fading. The gods are hollow, clinging to power they don't really have anymore, terrified of the end.
Ancient and tired.
Then Bloodborne. Harnam. Plunged right into this gothic plague city, drunk on blood, lost in nightmare. Sanity's optional, basically.
And monstrosity is everywhere.
Sekiro drops you into war-torn Ashina. Immortality isn't a gift, it's this grotesque curse, binding everyone to suffering and endless cycles.
Agonizing cycles.
An Elden Ring. Huge open world, but it's utterly shattered. Not by some outside force, but by the ambition of its own rulers, the demigods fighting over scraps of grace.
Tearing the world apart themselves.
Leaving devastation and constant conflict. And the key thing is, we don't enter these worlds as the prophesied savior.
No chosen one narrative, usually.
No, we're survivors, we're strugglers, wanderers. We don't carry some grand destiny, our own will to keep going against impossible odds.
Which makes the journey more personal. And stepping back, looking at the bigger picture, it's clear this theme, inheriting a broken world, it's not just a Soulsborne thing.
No, it's broader.
The whole action RPG landscape reflects this. Starting in worlds fundamentally broken, deeply scarred by past disasters, often caused by, unchecked power, reckless tech, bad leadership.
Right. Like Elden Ring again. Broken by ambition, the demigod's greed literally shattered the world.
Exactly. Or Ghost of Tsushima, Jin Sakai, caught in that impossible spot.
Homeland burning.
Literally burning around him, invaded by Mongols.
Yeah.
Forcing him to choose between his honor code and just brutal survival.
That's a different kind of ruin.
It is. And Lies of P presents another kind. Krat, the city of puppets. Technology gone wrong. This puppet frenzy takes over, blurring lines between lies, humanity. A twisted identity crisis in a society that basically collapsed inward.
Yeah, the puppets running wild.
And we see again through different cultural filters in games like Lords of the Fallen, Neo, Wolong.
Black Myth. Wukong, too, potentially.
Right. Worlds teeming with demons, spirits, gods, trapped in these relentless cycles of death and rebirth. The weight of history just crushes the living. The past is always bleeding into the present.
That sounds heavy.
It is. Then Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. Maybe one of the most sort of poignant examples.
With Aloy.
Yeah. Aloy walking among the literal bones of the old world. Skulls of skyscrapers, overgrown ruins, and these machines shaped like beasts.
Zerg reminders.
of humanity's reach exceeding its grasp. Her whole journey isn't just fighting machines. It's like digging up forgotten sins, trying to understand the last apocalypse to prevent the next one.
She carries that weight.
She embodies that responsibility of inheriting not just a world, but its massive mistakes. And similarly, Remnant 1 and 2, The Surge, grim futures where the line between human and machine, nature and corruption is just gone, blurred beyond recognition.
Navigating the aftermath.
Exactly. Which brings up this uniting question across all these stories.
Right.
What do we do with a ruined inheritance?
Right. Curse it. Give up.
Or do we find the courage, the ingenuity, the sheer will to build something new, something hopeful maybe from the ashes?
And the answer?
The answer, these games seem to say, is found in the struggle itself. The struggle is story, perseverance, and purpose.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. That phrase. You died.
Ah, yes. Iconic.
It's a meme, a warning, a badge of honor. It's synonymous with this whole genre. But the thing is, you died. It's not just saying you failed.
No, it's more than that.
It's profoundly an invitation.
An invitation. How so?
Well, these games, fundamentally, they don't tell their stories through long cutscenes or endless dialogue boxes or, quest markers holding your hand.
Right. It's shown, not told.
The narrative is forged in every step you take, every swing of your sword, every calculated dodge, and most importantly, every single time you get back up after falling.
The rising again.
You learn the lore, the mechanics, the world. Not by being told, but by enduring. By failing, adapting, overcoming.
Learning through doing. Painfully, sometimes.
The story isn't something handed to you. It's written in your scars, in the muscle memory you build, in knowing exactly when that enemy will attack because it killed you 10 times before.
Yes. That knowledge.
That's the genius, right? It turns mechanical failure into narrative progress, into personal growth. Your struggle is the story.
It really is.
I bet everyone listening has that you died moment burned into their memory. For me, it was the bell gargoyles in Dark Souls 1.
Oh, classic. Mine might be Father Gascoigne in Bloodborne.
Right. But it's that exact moment of defeat and then that feeling of, no, I'm not giving up. That's what these games bottle, isn't it? That refusal to yield.
Absolutely. And what's really deep is how the bosses, they're more than just tough enemies.
Yeah.
They're essentially memories.
Yeah.
Grotesque monuments to the world's sins. Not just obstacles, but living embodiments of the catastrophe that happened. Physical manifestations of the corruption.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, think of the Asylum Demon in Dark Souls.
The first big one.
Right. A forgotten guardian, left to rot in its prison. A relic of a past age, serving no purpose anymore. A symbol of forgotten duty.
Just decaying there.
Or Ornstein and Smough. Iconic duo. Grand titles. Imposing presence. But they represent the hollowness behind all that glory. The decay of a once powerful order, clinging to a false purpose.
The illusion of power.
Exactly. In Bloodborne, Lady Maria, she's not just a hard fight. She embodies the sorrow, the tragic results of a hunter who saw too much too late, burdened by forbidden knowledge.
That fight felt heavy.
It did. Sekiro's Genichiro Ashina. He's fascinating. A man who sacrificed everything. His humanity, the natural order for what he thought was salvation for his country.
It didn't work.
Ultimately achieved nothing but more suffering. And then there's Millennia, Blade of Mikella from Elden Ring. Pure tragedy.
Undefeated.
Undefeated, yes. Nightingale quotes her own thought. I've never known defeat, and yet I have never known peace. My bloom is endless battle, my legacy rot. I wish I had been allowed to rest.
Wow.
She's a goddess of war, incredibly powerful but trapped, broken by the very strength that defines her.
So defeating these figures, what does it mean in the grand scheme?
Well, that raises the key question, doesn't it? For the player's experience, your individual triumph over this huge foe feels monumental, transformative to you.
Yeah, feels earned.
But the crucial insight, your victories often mean basically nothing to the world itself.
Ooh, right.
The world is usually beyond saving, too far gone. The age of fire still fades. Yarnam is still consumed. The lands between remain shattered.
So it's personal then?
But those hard-won victories, those moments you overcame the impossible, they mean everything to you. They're proof of your persistence, your will, your mastery, your ability to find meaning in an uncaring universe.
They're the stories you carve.
Exactly. The stories you carve into the ash.
That's such a powerful idea.
Yeah.
It really hammers home that greatness isn't something you start with in these games.
No, it's forged.
Forged directly in the fire of failure. And this theme, it just echoes across so many of these games, doesn't it? Every victory is earned, never just given.
You see it everywhere.
In Nioh, you fall to yokai, you get up, you fall again, often really quickly.
Oh, yeah. Brutal.
But each fall sharpens your skill, deepens your understanding, makes the win feel so much better. It's proof of your grit.
Definitely. And the surge.
Yeah, the surge. You rebuild yourself limb by literal limb, scavenging parts from enemies you beat.
Turning setbacks into strength.
Viscerally. It's such a clear metaphor for persistence. Taking your dismemberments and making them your power.
It's intense.
Lies of P with its whole story. It teaches you that being human means making these really hard, morally gray choices.
Oh, eyes.
And that no choice, however good you think it is, comes without a cost. Option, a lie.
The weight of those choices.
Jin's struggle in Ghost of Tsushima. It's not just fighting Mongols, is it? It's fundamentally an internal battle against his own soul.
Honor versus survival.
Exactly. Can honor survive war? Or does he have to betray everything he was taught to save his people? His victories aren't just combat wins. They're about his identity eroding, forging something darker.
The birth of the ghost.
And in Elden Ring's vastness, Wolong's battlegrounds, Black Myth, Wukong's epic journey. Every boss, every tough enemy, every time you fall, it's a reminder.
Greatness is forged in failure.
Persistence is the story. It's not about being the chosen one. It's about choosing to keep going.
That refusal to yield.
Like that fictional log from the Wolong Warrior you mentioned. Demons walk because men invited them. We blame the dark, but the dark only answers when called.
Yeah.
I swing my blade not to cleanse the world. I swing it because I refuse to fall.
That's it, isn't it? That defiant purpose born from endless struggle.
Yeah.
The silence of the soul finding meaning in emptiness.
Yeah.
And then there's the quietness.
Yeah, the silence.
There's this profound hush when you first step into worlds like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring. It's not peaceful, though. No, not peace. It's the silence of deep, echoing ruin, of worlds broken for an incredibly long time, of gods who've either turned away or don't even remember why they were gods in the first place.
It's just empty.
And what's really striking is how little spoken dialogue there often is.
Very minimalist.
What is said is cryptic, fragmented, like whispers, dying echoes of knowledge. But that silence, it speaks volumes.
How so?
It's not an absence of meaning. It's an invitation to lean in, observe, infer. It forces you, the player, to listen differently.
To the world itself.
To the wind in the ruins, the creak of old buildings, the sound of your own breath in this hostile, indifferent place.
It makes you pay attention.
And this quiet pushes you towards that unspoken question. Why go on? Why fight? Why suffer through all this when the world seems beyond saving?
And the game doesn't just tell you why.
No. The Soulsborne genre doesn't give easy answers. It offers you the chance, but often a really hard chance, to find your own meaning.
And it's not just those specific games, right? This quiet, this silence between battles, it runs through the whole genre.
It does. It creates space for introspection, heightens the atmosphere.
You feel it in the wind in Tsushima's grass. Beautiful, but stark after a fight.
Or the hum of those ancient machines in the Forbidden West, sounding both advanced and like failure, haunting the land.
Yeah. Or the creaks in the ruins of Krat in Lies of P whispers of a broken artificial society.
And definitely the hollow ring of steel on stone in the lands between. That desolate sound.
In those silences, away from the chaos, you're alone with yourself.
You hear your own thoughts, feel the weight of the journey, the losses.
No fanfare, no cheering crowds, no big reward popping up.
No pats on the back.
There's only what you choose to become in the face of all that desolation. The world might not care if you succeed.
But your persistence changes you.
Which brings us back to why people call these games hard.
Right. And mechanically, yes, they are challenging. Precision, timing, strategy, it's all demanded.
But is that the real difficulty?
I don't think so. Not entirely. The true, deeper difficulty isn't just parry timing or boss patterns. It's what they ask of us, like on a human level.
Which?
Patience. Resilience, that unwavering ability to face loss again and again, absorb the lessons, and rise with renewed determination, keeping that will alive after failing 50 times.
And finding beauty.
And the ability to consciously look for and find beauty in utterly broken places, appreciating those quiet moments, a flower in a ruin, a distant light in the fog.
So connecting that to the real world.
Well, the worlds of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, they are not fair. They are not kind. They're brutal, uncaring, decaying.
Okay.
But neither is our own world always right. We face our own kinds of entropy, our own struggles, our own losses.
True.
And that, I think, is why these games resonate so deeply. They aren't just challenges for bragging rights.
They're more like
Parables of persistence. They show viscerally the human capacity to endure, adapt, find meaning, even when facing impossible odds and an indifferent universe.
No easy answers?
No easy answers. Just a profound, often difficult chance to discover your own answers, your own strength, your own story of defiance. Shared threads, unifying themes across broken worlds.
Okay, so as we keep digging through these amazing worlds, we start seeing these clear patterns, right? Shared threads weaving through them all, connecting stories that seem totally different at first glance.
Definitely. Themes emerge.
And the first big one is really striking. This idea that power, it's always a double-edged sword.
Always. Never simple.
It's never just benign. There's always a steep cost, and often that cost is corruption leading straight to ruin. Not just for one person, but for whole civilizations.
It ripples outwards.
Look at Elden Ring, the demigods' divine lineage driven by this insatiable hunger for power.
Which led them to?
Literally tear the world apart, shattering the Elden Ring itself, leaving only fragments and devastation, ambition run wild.
Catastrophic family squabble.
Horizon's backstory is maybe even scarier. The advanced AIs, created by humans to fix problems,
Spiraled out of control.
and consumed the Earth, pursuing their cold, logical solution that wiped out their creators. Lies of P shows Krat, the city that built obedient puppets for ultimate control, only to lose all control to the puppet frenzy, leading to its downfall, gripped by madness.
Technology turning against its masters.
The Surge gives us that terrifying vision of corporate greed, unchecked tech, fusing man and machine, but leaving ruin and a dystopian nightmare of exploitation.
Losing humanity in the upgrade.
And in Wolong, Neo, Black Myth, Wukong, we see endless wars, demons rising, fallen heroes who, hungry for dominance or immortality,
Become the monsters.
transform into the very things they fought, consumed by the power they craved. Across all these games, the message is stark. Seek unchecked power and you'll likely destroy the world or become the worst part of it.
A heavy warning. And that theme flows right into the next big thread. Legacy and ruin. Every hero in these games is walking in the shadow of the past.
Grappling with mistakes.
Dealing with the consequences of those who came before. Carrying inherited scars. Look at Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima.
The Samurai Code.
Exactly. Confronted with this traditional code of honor. Noble, cherished, but ultimately, it fails. It doesn't protect his people from the invasion.
But he has to break it.
His log entry sums it up. I am no longer samurai. I do what I must because the code failed. But honor did not save Tsushima. The ghost might. He has to defy his legacy, embrace a darker path to save his home.
A painful choice.
Elden Ring gives us the shattered golden order. Once divine, meant to bring prosperity. Now just broken fragments his followers cling to, even as it crumbles. Its promises are hollow.
A legacy that's become a cage.
It has. In Remnant 1 and 2, you inherit a world poisoned by past mistakes, by the uncontrolled spread of the
An interdimensional thing.
Right. And that radio message captures the inherited guilt. It's not just the root. It's what we became, trying to fight them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The guilt is palpable.
Oof.
And Horizon, Aloy building a future literally on the bones of humanity's past arrogance. Her log says, the machines are not monsters, they are echoes, echoes of those who came before. I will not make their mistakes.
She's actively defying that legacy.
Learning from the apocalypse. It really forces the question, what do you do with the past? Follow it, rebuild it, defy it, abandon it. What's our responsibility for past failures?
So if we're always inheriting ruin, always grappling with past mistakes, that leads to another shared question these games ask, right?
Rebirth.
The possibility, or maybe impossibility, of rebirth, of actually breaking these cycles of destruction.
Can the cycle be broken?
In Dark Souls, you face that ultimate choice. Link the fire, keep the age going, or let it fade, ushering in something new and unknown.
No clear good ending.
Just different ways to perpetuate a grand cosmic cycle that seems inescapable. Elden Ring expands on this, offers the chance to forge a new age, a new order.
Or make things worse.
Or just perpetuate the broken one, maybe even solidify a new kind of tyranny.
The weight of that choice.
Lies of P tackles it personally. The puppet trying to find real humanity in a world of lies. Can you truly be reborn as human, shed your past? Or is it just endless pretense?
A manufactured identity.
Wulong and Wupong explore that endless dance. Heroism, corruption, demons rising, falling, replaced by new ones. An eternal conflict, maybe unbreakable.
A constant cycle.
And remnant. The fight is literally to seed new hope. Find pockets of survival in a world that should be dead, consumed by the root.
fighting against the inevitable.
It makes you wonder, can the cycle ever truly break? Can the world be genuinely reborn as something better? Or is it doomed to repeat its patterns, bound by its past?
Which often leads to another profound unifying thing. Isolation.
The lonely
The
hero.
pervasive isolation and the huge weight of choice that defines these journeys. Despite the epic scale, the protagonist's path is almost always solitary, burdened by decisions only they can make.
Jin in Tsushima.
Perfect example. His solitude as he walks that blurred line between samurai and ghost. Alone in his moral dilemma, ostracized for his choices, even while saving people.
The Tarnished in Elden Ring.
By definition, exiled. Stripped of grace, returning alone to ruin. A journey of profound isolation, fleeting encounters. Their log says it all. The Erd trees are hollow where I walk. I press on, not to claim the throne, but because there is no turning back. The lands between are my grave or my forge.
Deeply personal, meditative almost.
Lies of P, the puppet grappling with personhood. Choosing what human means when truth is flexible and lies are survival tools. P's log shows that lonely conflict. I lie because truth is a blade I do not yet know how to wield, but each lie feels heavier. I wonder if I'm only moving further from it.
Bearing that burden alone.
And in Remnant, you're the lone wanderer fighting for a world that's forgotten you, maybe doesn't even recognize your sacrifice. The Rogerus log. The route has taken so much, but it has not taken me. Not yet. I keep going because to stop would be to let the dark win.
That personal drive.
It highlights it perfectly. The hero's path is almost always lonely. But what's key is that those solitary choices ultimately shape everyone's fate, even if only the hero knows the true cost. The deeper connections, what it means to be human, or something else.
Let's go even deeper then into these threads connecting the worlds, exploring what it means to be human, or maybe something else entirely.
Right.
One really profound, consistent truth across these games. Immortality is always a curse, never a gift.
Never a blessing.
Yeah.
Always torment, stagnation, or monstrosity.
In Elden Ring, look at Millennia and Radon. Immortal in battle, yes, undefeatable almost, but profoundly broken in spirit, ravaged in body, forever trapped in suffering.
Millennia wanting rest.
Heartbreaking.
Ugh.
Radon, once proud, reduced to a mindless, rotting husk, eternally fighting the stars he loved.
A tragic fall.
Sekiro explores this beautifully too. The divine dragon, the divine heir. Eternal life is an inescapable chain, a source of suffering, not freedom.
The dragon's blood.
Grants power, but spreads this grotesque blight. Makes you immortal, but costs your humanity, your health, your sanity. Sekiro's letter to a dead master says it. The dragon's blood binds me still, but I would trade it all for your forgiveness. He wants the cycle to end.
An end to rebirth.
In Lies of P, trying to become human costs the puppet its own truth. Forces lies, compromises its nature, twists the idea of identity.
The cost of authenticity.
And Wo Long, generals grabbing demon powers for strength, unnatural life, they're inevitably destroyed by it. Immortality leads to monstrous transformation, oblivion, consumed by what they mastered.
The power consumes them.
The message is clear. Try to conquer time with endless life and you lose yourself.
Yeah.
Become less or something horrifyingly different. Immortality is a prison in these worlds.
And if we link that broader, another powerful theme is that conflict when humanity tries to dominate or imitate nature, or loses its place within it.
Like in Horizon.
Exactly, a stark example. The machines, designed by humans for terraforming, spiral out of control, devour the earth, turning hubris into apocalypse.
But nature fights back.
But the narrative shows, even after millennia, the earth, raw, primal, fights back. New life challenges the machines, nature's will to reclaim what was lost.
Powerful image.
The surge takes it further. Man literally becomes machine via prosthetics, corporate experiments, but the machine, the artificial, consumes the man, blurs humanity.
Yeah, survivor's law.
Captures the horror. I became stronger, piece by piece. I thought I was saving myself. But I wonder now what is left to save. And that corrupted diagnostic. Subject integration exceeds safety limits. Recommend immediate. File corrupted. Control lost. Humanity devoured by its creations.
Chilling.
Remnant's route is terrifying.
It is.
Nature, sort of, but twisted, malevolent. A parasite pretending order, but spreading decay. Consuming worlds into grotesque organic prisons.
The perversion of nature.
And black myth. Wukong has the Monkey King, born of heaven and earth, battling celestial constructs, artificial powers trying to control him, embodying rigid, unnatural order, his log. They call me trickster, but I am what the world made me. I will carve my fate. No gods, no masters. These games consistently show. Try to impose will, imitate or dominate nature. The result is often monstrosities, literal and metaphorical, that turn on their creators.
That's a really chilling thought, yeah. The monsters we create by overreaching, and it's not just external monsters, is it?
No, the internal battles too.
These games dive deep into the protagonist's internal struggles. Shame and guilt are huge themes. The enemies are often inside as much as outside, reflecting their compromises, their burdens.
Like Jin Sakai again.
He's forced to betray his code, the samurai way, to save his island, but in that betrayal he finds freedom, a more effective path. But it's steeped in personal shame, guilt over abandoning his principles.
The weight of being the ghost.
In Lies of P, the puppet lies to protect others, save them from harsh truths, but in doing so betrays part of itself, compromises its journey to genuine humanity, a constant battle between truth and deception.
The cost of lies.
And the Surge. The survivor isn't just fighting machines, they're part of the system that destroyed everything, wearing the corporate gear, operating in the broken structures of the greed that caused the ruin.
Complicit, in a way.
There's this deep personal responsibility, implicit guilt weighing on them. It's a powerful insight these games consistently deliver. The heroes aren't just fighting literal demons.
They're fighting themselves.
Constantly, relentlessly fighting their own shame, guilt, the burdens of a broken world.
And this leads to maybe a more subtle but equally poignant connection.
Yeah.
The motif of the fading gods and forgotten guardians.
Ah, okay. Explain that.
What's fascinating is how many of these worlds have these once great figures who've outlived their purpose, failed their duty, or become prisoners of their own past glory.
Like Ornstein.
Exactly. Ornstein, the dragon slayer from Dark Souls. His fragmented thought, it's heartbreaking. We guarded a dream. We became its prisoners. The gods we served faded. We stayed behind because we forgot how to leave.
Wow, forgot how to leave.
It's not just a detail. It's a profound statement about obsolescence, about duty becoming meaningless when the world moves on, the tragedy of powerful beings stuck in past roles, beholden to a dying order, unable to adapt.
Monuments to decay.
They represent the decay of authority, the hollowness of clinging to power when its foundation has crumbled.
Right.
It speaks to the impermanence of even divine power and that very human inability to let go, even facing decay, even when their time is clearly past.
Dangerous relics.
Often dangerous, precisely because they refuse to acknowledge the present. The myths we write, reflecting our own humanity.
And this is where the real magic happens, I think, because ultimately these games, despite the harshness, the challenge, the bleakness, they offer something incredibly freeing.
Which is?
Open endings, the chance for deeply personal meaning. They don't give you one fixed conclusion tying everything up neatly.
It was simple, the end.
Instead, they present possibility, branching paths, profound choices depending entirely on your actions, your intentions, empowering you to craft your own narrative, your own myth within their grand, ruined tapestries.
Your agency matters.
Think about it. You're the chosen undead who linked the fire, continuing the cycle. Or maybe the one who bravely let it fade, ushering in unknown darkness.
Big choice.
You're the hunter who escaped Harnum's nightmare. Or maybe the one who became its master, took its place.
Embracing the abyss.
Yeah, the tarnished who rose to lordship in the lands between. Or the one who consciously abandoned power, chose a different, maybe weirder path for the world.
So many potential endings.
And this agency goes beyond just the Soulsborne games, right? Ghost of Tsushima. Are you the samurai clinging to tradition or the ghost becoming a legend by breaking rules?
Samurai or ghost?
Lords of the Fallen?
Hmm.
The Lord who prevailed or the Forsaken who walked away? Lies of P, the liar finding humanity through deceit, or the true clinging to painful honesty?
Liar or true?
Remnant. The hero rebuilding hope in a dead world, or the wanderer just never stopping their journey through shattered dimensions.
Rebuilder or wanderer?
Bloodborne, the hunter who becomes the hunted, embracing the beast within. In the end, it's you, the player, who writes the myth.
You decide the meaning.
You decide what your struggle meant, what legacy you carve in the ash, what fragile hope you leave behind.
Which brings us right back around to Oliver Werner Nidinger's core idea.
The modern fables.
These aren't just games for fun, though they are fun. They are, as he says so well, modern fables about humanity's hunger, its mistakes, and its fragile hope.
Why do they resonate so much, then?
They resonate not just because they're hard, but because they hold up this profound mirror to our own deepest fears, our struggles with just keeping going, our desire for meaning in a world that often feels indifferent.
We see ourselves in them.
And maybe, yeah, in that silence between battles, navigating those ruins, we might just find ourselves reflected there. These games repeat this shared, powerful truth about being human. The world breaks.
Catastrophe happens.
It's inevitable. And what truly matters, what defines us, isn't the breaking. It's how we choose to rise from it.
How we stand up again.
They matter because they're not just about fighting, winning with skill. They're about enduring. They're about asking those deep personal questions. Who are we when everything falls apart? When all we knew is gone?
And who can we become?
And more importantly, who do we have the capacity to become when we decide, against everything, to stand again, to carve our own story into the ash? As Natinger concludes it, and it really captures their power.
Yeah.
As I look out over these worlds of ash and steel, I see not just fantasy. I see our own struggle, written in code and legend. I see hope, carved in the scars of those who rise.
Powerful words. A truly profound journey we've taken today.
It really has been.
So I'll leave you, our listener, with this thought to reflect on. If the world around you started to crumble, not with a big bang, but like a slow, silent decay, a gradual fading of light and meaning, what truth would you hold on to? What kind of legacy would you choose to leave, knowing that every choice, every struggle, it carves its own unique story in the ash of what used to be?
Something to ponder.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the heart of modern action RPGs. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep finding your own meaning in the stories you carve both in games and, well, in life. Until next time.